Lenin, after taking over the power into his hands, what are the changes that he brought after the month of October? Why we are mentioning the month October? Because the revolution happened in the month of October. So what happened after the month of October means here what happened after the revolution. The changes which occurred after the revolution is, first, as he promised in the April thesis that he would like to stop the war, he would conclude the war with a treaty. Next, he want to redistribute the lands to the poor and also nationalize the banks. Let us see how far he is able to fulfill his April thesis promises. Here, the private property, the Bolsheviks were completely against the private property. So they banned the use of private property. From today onwards, no one is eligible to maintain any private property. That was the first command given by the Bolshevik party in power. Next, all the banks till the date which were in Russia are being nationalized in the month of November 1917. So from today onwards, there are no private banks and no private individual is an owner of a huge sum of amount. It is the collective property of all the people who are present in Russia. Then moving on to the land. Land has been declared as a social property, which means everybody is a owner of the land, which determines that he also gave a command that nobility who is holding huge lands can be occupied by the peasants. So the peasants are permitted to occupy more and more lands of the nobles, and large houses which are there are in the city are being partitioned according to the family requirements, and again they are being given to the houseless poor people. So again houses which are very large were also being occupied by the houseless poor people, and any old aristocratic titles are completely being banned. Moving on to the army. Lenin brought a new army, a new uniform to the army personnel of Russia. Along with that, to bring out the variation between the previous and the present day army of Bolsheviks, he brought a special hat, the Russian hat for the soldiers, in the Russian language known as Budyonovka. This Budyonovka is nothing but the name of the hat, the uniform where a hat has been prescribed as mandatory for the soldiers. And so the major changes which occurred after the month of October are, the first one, he was completely dead against private property, so private property was banned. Second one, all the banks were nationalized in the month of November 1917, and land has been declared as a social property, and the lands of the nobles are given free access to the peasants to occupy them, and the large houses in the cities are again partitioned and given for the houseless poor people. Titles which represent the old aristocratic culture were completely banned, and new uniforms were being issued to the army personnel, as well as hat was also added to the uniform of the army people. These are some of the major changes which he brought in the structure of Russia and in the administration of Russia. In spite of the oppositions from the many other parties, Lenin concluded peace treaty with Germany. That was a major step what he has taken to conclude World War I. Other than this, he has taken certain other steps also. What are those? First, he changed the name of the party, the Bolshevik party, into the Russian Communist Party. So, after changing the name of the party as Russian Communist Party, he thought all people would support him and he would get a clear major victory in the history of elections which he is going to conduct. So, the first elections were conducted for the Constituent Assembly in January 1918. Astonishingly and surprisingly, Lenin lost the elections. Assembly did not encourage the participants of Lenin at all. So, in reaction to this, Lenin suspended the assembly and told that more of the Russian Soviets are still having the democratic ideology, which is not at all necessary or important or required for the Russian good culture. So he also proposed that these elections were not conducted in free and fair manner, so he cancelled the elections. In this way, he took certain steps, though he could not get the major support of the people. He tried to prove that he had people's support. This rejection came from the people because of his repressive policies. The policies what he announced, like grabbing away the lands of the nobility, houses, the large houses in the cities are being divided, and also nationalizing the banks. All these made people to get worried. They thought they are going to another state of dictatorship. But in actual terms, he wanted to bring an equitable society into reality. So, the peace treaty, when he signed with Germans also in March, many of the political parties strongly opposed this one. But still he signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with the Germans and concluded the World War I. After that, he formed the All Russian Congress of Soviets, which became the national parliament. As the years came by, he made sure that only his party would be in Russia, and no other political party survived for a long time. He also had a secret police force known as Cheka First, which main purpose was to find the people who criticized the Bolsheviks, arrest them, imprison them. So, because of this, a lot of fear spread among the people in Russia. Slowly, Russia turned into a single party country where there is only one party. That one party is Russian Communist Party. Only this party will rule in Russia. No other party can survive in Russia. Many young writers rallied with the Bolshevik parties because they thought the real socialism is being placed in the country. But many other art and artists, architectural people could not imagine much because they have a strict censorship into practice in the state of Russia under the rule of Lenin. So, there was no true freedom at all, and the writers who used to illusion certain things and used to write fantastic writings became disillusioned. These are some of the steps which brought some negativity for Russia, especially under the leadership of Lenin. First, he changed the name into Russian Communist Party. Later, the elections he conducted, he was not victorious. He could not accept the result. So, he denied and he cancelled the elections, and he also proved that the Soviets are more democratic, so this is not good for Russia. And later, he signed a peace treaty with Germans in spite of opposition from all the political parties at that time. And later, he made sure that the All Russian Congress of Soviets would be the only party in practice when compared to all other issues, and also made Russia as a single party country. All these steps made Lenin to be towards the word of dictatorship. Is it rightly justified to call Lenin as a dictator or not? Maybe in some points or in some angles we can definitely call Lenin as a dictator. Now, the Civil War. The land redistribution, when the Lenin's concept of land redistribution came, army got divided into splits because the soldiers in the army want to go back to their villages where they can get a piece of land, because land is again redistributed. When land is redistributed, they all want to get the benefit of that land redistribution policy. So the army got deserted and got broken into small pieces because most of the army people hail from villages. So the necessary and the requirement went on, and they want to take over the entire benefit of land redistribution. And later we also got the conflict on the land redistribution policy, because those who are not supporting this started to form as different groups. From north of Russia they went to south of Russia and they proclaimed the non-Bolshevik revolution, where they do not want any Bolshevik leader and they don't want anyone to accept his policies. So the Reds army was created by the non-Bolshevik socialists, and we also have socialist revolution creating the Green Army, and later we also have Tsarist, pro-Tsarist army known as Whites. So Reds Greens, Whites started to fight with the Bolshevik forces and army, and for them, secretly, they are getting support from French, Britain, and Japanese people. Why did the French people, Britain people, or Japanese people are worried or supporting the Reds, Greens, and Whites? Very simple. They are worried about the growing importance of socialism, and they are also worried that if the socialism spreads in Europe and then spreads to Asia, it would be a major threat for their own countries also. So, in order to stop it, they want to dismantle it in Russia itself. That is the reason why they are backing this one in the homeland, those are fighting against this. And later, because of the civil war in the country, continuous looting happened of the wealth and banditry. Because of looting and banditry, famine was common in the entire Russian region. So slowly, Russia, which got slowly to develop, again got back into the previous state because of the civil war and continuous looting. So the Lenin's policy also brought some amount of disturbance in the country.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.